The concept of texting is great because if I want to tell you something and you're not here, I'll just send you a text. If I want to call you but you're busy, I'll simply send you a text. But the problem with texting is the fact that it boosts your confidence. We live in a world today where we can text anyone, anything, at any time. This is not inherently bad, but it is when it removes your basic understanding for social skills, because there is no eye contact, there are no immediate responses, and most of all, there are no consequences. When you're texting her or him, and they're speaking a little freaky deaky, you're still questioning yourself when you meet them in person and they're a different person. But you're not understanding that this person was protected behind a screen. They didn't get butterflies, their heart wasn't beating because they were not looking at you face to face. Not only is it hard to find someone that practices what they preach, but it makes you forget that when you first meet someone, that you have to build up to saying something crazy. You ever been around someone for the first time, you're clicking, everything's going well, friend or foe, but you know, if you said something really crazy, it might jeopardize everything. You know that at first, a person has to become comfortable with you for you to be very comfortable with them. But texting is the exact opposite. Sometimes you shoot from half court, green. Other times you miss, but you don't see how badly you miss because that person might just not reply to you. Whereas in real life, rejection is something all of us are afraid of, but online it is something totally different because how many messages can you shoot out a day, 2 days? As a result of suffering from our own success and becoming comfortable, we are not able to speak to people in person because we're too afraid to. In college, there was a guy called Joe and there was a girl called So, and they would text each other all the time. And I asked him, because he was my friend at the time, I said, why do you never talk to So? And he didn't really know, but he was afraid to. He had all that talk. He would text her behind closed doors. He could have a cup of hot cocoa in his hand while he sits on the toilet and does a cheeky little number 2. But in person, face to face, eye contact, he couldn't. And that's what a lot of people fear. A lot of you guys fear. You fear connecting with someone face to face. To text is easy. Yeah, sometimes I can't read the sarcasm. Yeah, sometimes I have to read in between the lines and see what the other person's really saying. But for the most part, texting is easy. I can do it anywhere. I can text you from anywhere. I don't have to be there. I don't have to be face to face. And I don't have to hear your voice. But to be in person now, to talk to someone, to be social, has become more complicated than ever. My point of the video is actually not to stop texting. If anything, keep texting times 2. But I think we should all start to speak in a social setting. It doesn't make sense if you're in some sort of community, whether you study, at work, or you go to the gym. It doesn't make sense if you see someone with a mutual interest and you want to befriend them, but you can't. But yet in the same breath, you can say, I know their social media, I'll just text them afterwards. Now that doesn't sound weird, but it's weird to even think that it's better to just text them when they are there face to face and you could just get an immediate reaction. I remember as a kid, I used to love to text. I was obsessed. I used to text a lot of people that I never met. Take that how you will. I'm going to say that one more time. I used to text a lot of people that I never met. I would tell myself and tell my friends that this is a part of building your texting experience. You need to know how to text people and you need to be able to have it as a skill because you don't want to be a bad texter. But now, most of us are bad talkers in general. Now most of us can't hold eye contact for some reason. We're always anxious and we're itching to go onto the phones. I know what type of man you are. I know what type of woman you are. You're the type to see someone face to face and you go into the weather app when you know exactly what the weather is. You're the type to scroll through your apps when you've memorized every single app you have on your phone because you're too afraid. if I'm being honest, who cares? Nobody cares, and life is not that deep. Shoot your shot, speak to that person, ask that question, because you'll never know the answer if you never try. How about we normalize awkwardness? How about we normalize sharing silence with somebody because it is not a bad thing? Let's normalize you being your quirky little weird dirty self to that person just to see that reaction. Because so what? So what if it doesn't go how you plan it? So what? You know, you ever heard of the term Sonder? Everyone is just as complex as you are, my friend. So that means not everything is going to go our way. That means they got all that stuff going on in their head and they probably prefer to text too. But I'll tell you what, you will form something amazing with the people you meet in a social setting. And I'm not going to lie, you can do that on texting too, which is contradicting my entire point, and I might delete this video. The reason I haven't brought up calling or FaceTiming is because that is actually a great way just to talk to someone. Like, FaceTiming is probably better because it is face to face, and calling people, say, just to check the vibe, friend or foe, again. But if I'm being honest, in person will always be the best, because you're going to see that person for who they are, unless they're a crazy master manipulator. But I'm just here to say today, if you're seeing those people on social media that are incredibly good at speaking, they can say what they want head to mouth to anybody, it's because they've been practicing. If you see those guys and gals that are just going up to guys and gals and just talking to them and are able to pick them up, you know, you see those viral videos or whatever, like, you can literally do the same. All it takes is practice. The same way you had to practice and you fumbled all those people and you weren't able to connect with friends or make those business deals, is the same way. It's the exact same in person. But it's not about mastering texting. It's about mastering social interactions, because at the end of the day, we are all humans with lizard brains, and none of us are superior in this sense. So nobody is out of reach for you, because you can speak and say whatever you want to someone. So stop being afraid. Go outside, shoot that shot, ask that question, make that friend, wife that person up. You get what I'm trying to say, all right? Stop being engrossed in the phone and relying on texting, because everyone is afraid to talk nowadays. It says, look, I'm from the UK, so when people are walking past each other, we rarely say, hey, or like, you're right. You know what I mean? People, you know, walking by, you'll say, what you saying, you good, right? But to random people, where I'm from, you're not really saying hi. You might make a smile, but that's only if you look remotely attractive. And of course, not everybody does in the world, okay? So if you're not me, that's not happening very often. So make sure you go out and get out there, because honestly, take these risks now. You don't want to become some sort of old gal or gal guy, right? You don't want to become this type of person that you can only deal with the texting. You need to be able to do two. So don't stop texting. Start talking in person. If you stayed this long, I just want to say, as always, thank you for listening.